Okay, there you go.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Thanks. Okay, everyone, recording's in progress. Anyhow, we're going to have a rather informal chat. I'm going to prompt with a few starter questions for our panelists, and our panelists are just going to join in and have a discussion. And we'll save some time for some open questions towards the end of the hour. You are welcome at any time to post your questions or comments or links or anything interesting that you would like to put in the chat. Please do that. We're going to go ahead and start with some introductions to start with. Larry, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Larry Garcia. I've been doing software development for 17 years now. I started right fresh graduate. And then I've been in Solution Street for 2 years now, working as a software engineer.
Hi, my name is Kelly Nylund. I have been at Solution Street for, I believe, almost 8 years now, and I am a software tester.
Hi, I'm Jaita Mitra, and I've been at Solution Street for 10 years. I'm a senior software engineer and a technical team lead, and I've been doing software engineering for more than 15 years now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shurata Kandi, and I am a senior software developer and manager at Solution Street. I've been with the company for close to 10 years, and I'm happy to be on this panel tonight.
And my name is Dianne Bungay-Dean. I am a senior software engineer and manager at Solution Street, and I've been with the company for 8 years now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cristina Little. I'm the recruiting coordinator at Solution Street, and I've been working with Solution Street for close to 6 months now, and I work with our HR team to bring on great engineers to join our team. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. And my name is Deborah Wallace, or Debbie. And I've been with Solution Street for about a year, but I've had lots of different software jobs and jobs in education. I was a high school teacher. I taught computer science and mathematics, not surprisingly. And I've been a developer, and I've been a project manager, and lots of combinations of team leads and so forth. And I am currently back in role of developer at Solution Street, and I'm enjoying it very much. All right, to get started with our prompts, our first thing that we would like to talk about is role models. If our panelists would like to discuss who has been their role models, maybe who encouraged you to go into a technology field, or someone that you just admired in another way. Srilatha, would you like to start us off?
Sure. My mom is my biggest inspiration. She was a teacher who was admired by many and inspired the lives of hundreds of students. She also inspires me to live every day, focusing on how I respond to the challenges I face rather than the challenges themselves. I went to school at the same place she taught, and I won't deny that I did not like the attention at all, both good and bad. I couldn't fly under the radar like my friends and other kids, and I thought at times she was a little too critical of me, of my actions. But now that I have kids of my own, I see it in a totally different light, and I have a newfound appreciation for all that she was and that she did and still does. She's instilled in me that talent can always be trumped through hard work and grit. She's taught me to always stand up for what I believe in, to never compromise on my self-respect, and that loyalty for friends and family goes a long way. So I strive to be somebody that she's proud of.
For me, my inspiration has been my elder sister. She's 9 years elder to me. She has always been a super achiever. She's an architect now and a director of an architectural firm. So since she's been a kid, she has always been, a topper in her class, topper in her university, and I've always looked up to her. So being a younger sister, following your elder sister's footsteps, that has helped me to be where I am. She's always been very hardworking. When I was young, I was really not very hardworking, but seeing her, and then when you're young and if your elder sister is really hardworking and a super achiever, you tend to follow that path. So I think that has really helped me to be where I am.
I have this is Kelly, I have sort of a different spin on it. I have an engineering background, and then mining engineering background, and then sort of had children and got away from the workforce. But my inspiration for that was my engineering degree was really my grandfather, but I'm inspired today by my youngest daughter. She for many years followed along in her older sister's footsteps, did the same activities, but then when she got to high school, she took a complete left turn, if you will, into an area that none of us had any experience with. A real leap of faith. She kind of went out on a limb and she joined the Air Force ROTC unit at her high school, which was unknown to all of us, including her, but she has really thrived there. It was a risk with a lot of reward for her. She's gotten a lot of leadership opportunities, and she's currently serving as their Corps commander, and she's also earned a college scholarship through the program. So I'm trying to be more like her and take a few more risks and put myself out there. See what I can do.
Speaking of seeing myself like with our role model, I'm actually the same with Srilata. So my superhero is my mom. So she's someone I looked up to a lot. And she's not in IT, but she graduated in accounting, and she also worked as a teacher. She worked in a public school teacher. So I actually salute her dedication to work, and by being hands-on mom at the same time. And then I vividly remember when I was young, when I was like toddler or right before going to school, she carried me around everywhere. Like she go to meetings, she go to classes, she even bring me to work if no one is gonna watch me. Because in the Philippines where I grew up, actually daycare is very expensive. Like it's something our family cannot like indulge. So it's either our family friends look for me or watch me, or my sister watch me because she's kind of a little older, or my mom. And so if no one is watching me, my mom needs to carry me around. So it's like she kept the house in order, and then she's successful at work. So for me, she's a superhero. And then looking now that I'm working and I have family now, I have young kids. So I was like, it's kind of tough. It is tough, but with the support of everyone, it just make it easier.
I'll go next. My biggest inspiration has been my high school English teacher. She was someone that really went above and beyond in her role. She kind of went the extra mile. She found out that a lot of her students, I grew up in South Florida, and she found out a lot of us had never traveled out of the state. So she kind of planned this big trip to New York City to give us a cultural experience. And as she was kind of working with the school to organize the trip, there was a lot of red tape, and bureaucracy wasn't really allowing her to kind of formally plan the trip. So she kind of went under the table and met with all the parents of the students and organized the trip kind of on the side, without the schools knowing. And she felt this was important just to have us kind of have a unique cultural experience, going to museums, going to the theater, seeing a different city, getting out of the state. And a lot of the kids, it was their first time traveling on an airplane. And she didn't have to do that, but she felt it was kind of important for shaping us and giving us culture. And what I learned from that is just when you have your job, to really go above and beyond in your role, not just do the bare minimum, but kind of do the extra mile to make an impact and kind of inspire people. And so I learned a lot from her. Her name was Miss McAllister. Anyway.
I'll go next. I have so many role models. I don't have all night to discuss all of them, but just to add on like what Cristina said, I have a teacher in my life. She's actually my aunt, but she's a teacher. She's a math teacher for high school students, and I think that it's just very inspiring for me that she's very knowledgeable in math. I think there's a stereotype that math is a very hard subject and all, but with her being a teacher in it and just really taking charge of that area, I think, and not be scared and not be part of that stereotype. I think that's very inspiring for me growing up. But now as a professional, one of the role models that I think of is Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook, and her book Lean In. It's so inspiring for me to just lean in and take space and participate and be part of conversations, and just really be present and just don't be scared. Don't we have all these imposter syndrome and stuff, and just be present and be part of the conversation. So that to me is very inspiring.
Great. It's interesting how we have lots of female role models. I think that's sort of a natural occurrence for women to see other women as role models. I do think it's also really likely that you'll see role models in people that share some of your personality traits. So someone who you admire their leadership skills, the way that they handle things is similar to yours, and then you see them being an effective leader. So frequently we're in a room with lots of men. Women in technology tend to still be in a minority, and sometimes that's kind of intimidating. There's even a syndrome called imposter syndrome that Diane's going to tell us a little bit about. So what I'd like to do is ask the panelists to kind of just talk about how do you handle those situations where you're feeling a little intimidated? Dianne, you want to start?
Yeah. So imposter syndrome, we have a name for it. That is a feeling when you feel like you're a fraud and you're an imposter and you feel like you don't belong here. Like, how did I get here? Why did they choose me to do this? Like, I don't even know how I'm now a lead of this thing. But I feel like I tricked everyone to be able to get to where I am. That is what imposter syndrome, when you have like doubts like that, it's kind of different with self-doubt. Self-doubt, I guess that's normal sometimes. But if you have a constant feeling of that I think is what imposter syndrome is. And that is not good. And, while anyone, any gender, any age can have imposter syndrome, it is very prevalent with women. And we women, we sometimes tend to doubt ourselves, like, yeah, I don't know why I'm here, but really we have achieved, we shouldn't be doubting ourselves with all of our accomplishments. We've done so much to be able to get to where we are. So that's what imposter syndrome is. And so to your question, Debbie, like, how do we deal with, when that happens to us? There's a few things that I learned, on the way. There's one strategy that I learned from a women's group that I joined, is like, whenever you find yourselves, being in the room and you're doubting yourself, give a name on that, persona of you, that is not you. For example, my name is Dianne, and like, for example, in this meeting, I'm feeling nervous and I feel like I don't belong here. It's all like executives and all, but I will name this persona of me, like this self-doubting person. I'm gonna name this Karen, for example. I'm gonna shove that away. Karen doesn't belong in this meeting. Only Dianne, who's a confident woman, who's knowledgeable, and who will be able to present herself, calmly. That's one way to just like give that name and like remember to like that person doesn't belong here. And then another technique, not really a technique, but really like a mindset. Sometimes in a meeting, I don't know if a lot of women are like more. They would volunteer to be like, hey, let me write the minutes of the meeting. Hey, let me do this. We do a lot of like administrative tasks. And while that do those things there's nothing wrong with doing those things, but when you do that and it takes away your opportunity to participate in a discussion, that's not good. So if you can, not volunteer for doing the menial task and just really be part of the discussion of the decision making, be in that group. Don't be in the background if you can. So that's just a couple of things for me.
For me personally, the time-tested mantra of fake it till you make it has rarely failed me. So I wouldn't always have the luxury to wait for my confidence to catch up to the situation. So I would put on a brave front, and even though I'm sweating bullets inside, I do that a couple of times and eventually my confidence would show up. So that's something that I've tried.
Usually what has worked for me is trying to, whenever any negative thought comes, I try to think back on things that I have achieved, some good projects that have really worked for me. And then thinking of, okay, I've been able to do that. So if I'm in a new project and I'm in a group of people who are new, and usually that's when that imposter syndrome comes. You don't know the project, you don't know the people, and you'll start to self-doubt. That's when I try to think of all the positive things that I have in my life or in my career. And then I try to be involved, even if, like Srilata said, you're sweating, but try to be involved, ask questions, show some involvement, intelligence, and that will show that, okay, you're not trying to be an imposter, but you're actually trying to show some interest in the room.
I remember in the beginning of my career when I was in college, out of like 40 students, there's like 2 or 3 people that's a women, and including myself on that one, when I go to conferences and stuff. So it really like very easy for me to be intimidated. But thinking back, I think that the one reason that kind of make me go through that is because first, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm enjoying programming. I'm very interested in learning more, and I don't mind what other people will say. So that's kind of take me out on that. And then, personally, I'm like a very shy person in the beginning. So I was like, every time that persona, which is Dianne was mentioning, is getting into me, yeah. I keep on like remembering to be present. Like, why are you here? Like, what's your purpose? Like, believe in yourself to get through this, because people believe in you, so you should believe in yourself as well. So know and acknowledge your worth, and you'll stand out by yourself. So yep, that's
I wanna say something. I know I already went, sorry, but I like what I like what Jay said about remembering your previous accomplishments, and it just thought of something. It wasn't from my experience. It's a woman colleague. She was a director at some point, and she stopped work to take care of family, take care of kids, and after so many years, she decided to join the workforce again. And she felt like I have been out and I don't know anything anymore, and like I'm so outdated and whatnot. But this lady, this person I worked with, she reminded me, like, don't think like that. You were accomplished, before you decided to raise a family. So that doesn't diminish everything you've accomplished. So definitely don't think about that. And I haven't been on that position yet, to leaving the workforce and whatnot, but I hope that if that ever happens to me, I will definitely remember that. So I wanted to add that what Jada said.
Like being a pause, because when I give birth to my sons, I have 2 sons, I have to pause for like 2-3 months. And in the IT world, I think that's a big one. And for me, taking care of young kids, it's kind of hard for me to go back. So I think that's 1.2 where I have to like remember what I was doing before, to be myself again, to work again, to do what I was loved to be doing before and enjoy what I was doing before. So that's a good point. Just want to bring that too.
Yeah, I think our culture is very challenging for moms who want to stay home for a couple of years and then try and re-enter the workforce. That's very challenging. I think it's an area where, as a culture, we could use some more support structures for women who are in those positions.
That's right.
So I wanted to chime in myself. I always find that just asking good questions. You don't need to be the subject matter expert in everything, but if you're showing your intelligence through your questions, as soon as you have this dialogue going back and forth, it makes you relax, and rather than giving a presentation, having this dialogue going on. I also wanted to mention that we all appreciate having diversity in the workforce. Frequently, women bring personality traits to the table that sometimes men don't have. Have some confidence in yourself to bring those personality traits to the table. If you have good social skills, wonderful. Be the person who tries to get the team to work better, gets the team to communicate better. If you have kind of a mentoring or nurturing personality, let it show. That you'll end up being the mentor for the team. So I think we shouldn't be intimidated by our differences. We should look at our strengths instead.
I like that.
So here at Solution Street in our company, we have about 45% of our staff is women, which for a technology firm is amazing. I know that as a computer science graduate in college, I would say out of a room of maybe 50 students, there were 2 females. Nod your heads if this was likewise for you all. And some of you are considerably younger than I am. So those numbers really haven't improved all that much over the past couple of decades, sadly. Hopefully they'll start improving. So at Solution Street, we have about 45% of our staff is female, which is amazing. So why don't we talk a little bit about why we were attracted to Solution Street and what is keeping us there? What do we like about it? And maybe some of these qualities are things that people could take into other businesses also. Kelly, you want to start us off this time?
Yeah, sure. I think that Solution Street in general is very supportive of its employees, but I think for me in particular, I find that they really are good at meeting the employees where we are. Now, I am the case of the mom that took time off and came back later on after I raised my kids, and Solution Street was able to find work for me that worked with my life as it is right now, which would be very different than my life as it just when I graduated college or before I had kids. So for me, that really attracted me to Solution Street, is that they were willing to listen to my needs and work with me and, find me meaningful work that I could do with my schedule. So
I think Solution Street is an equal opportunity employer. I never felt like I was passed over for an opportunity that's got nothing to do with competence. We have 5 core values: honesty, transparency, dependability, respect, and fun. And I think we do a pretty good job living by those principles. Apart from all this, though, the biggest draw for me is the flexibility it affords me and the people I work with.
I would like to add to this that it is a fun place to work. We have a lot of social events. We have a lot of like you have ice cream socials, coffee socials, barista events. We have small parties. Other than that, other than the fun part, you also get to work with different technologies. Managers are more like friends. If you have some good ideas, you can bring it to your managers and they don't really discourage you with that. If you want to work on certain technologies, you can always bring it up to your manager and they do give you an opportunity to work on those.
So yeah, speaking of being able to do, whatever technology that you want to do. They are also, the company, the management and the people themselves are very supportive of, whatever costs you believe in. For me, when I joined Solution Street about 8 years ago, I would say if there was, I don't think there was any, or maybe it wasn't very obvious, like any women's, honoring of women, and we didn't have these panels before and whatnot. And I think, and I, as a self-proclaimed like women's advocate and really for equal pay and whatnot. And I think they support us if we have any cost like that. And I think I would consider an accomplishment for myself, when I did something about my cause, which is, for women, I put together like an article of like women's story, like honoring of the women at Solution Street. And I think one win for me is when Cherry, who is actually in the call here, but she's not part of the panel, when she told the story that year she saw a LinkedIn post about that article, which inspired her to like, hey, let me go back to the company, and not the company, but like to the workforce, I think, and then and join Solution Street. And that was, for me, is a win. And just inviting more people, especially women, that we're here together. We should be helping each other. Don't feel like you're just by yourself alone at home or whatever. We're here. We're here and we'll support each other. So I think that's why I still do this with Solution Street.
For me, I'm gonna chime in with that flexibility, because let's say for me, I'm a working mom. My family is of course my top priority, and I have a very young kids. So I have 5 years old and 2 years old, and they look for me most of the time. So I have a small room in my house where I can work properly. But every time they look for me, it's like, where's mommy? So they just look at me in the room. It's like, oh, she's there. Then they're gonna go back and play or whatever they're doing, eating something. So I think that's make them feel like at ease, that they can see me, and for me that I can work as well. So I really like that one. I really like the people, of course. That's one of the great things. And I will add to that, where it's easy to reach to people. Let's say it's easy to talk to my manager. It's easy to talk to my colleague. I'll just chat with them. It's very easy to talk with. But with the Joel, which is our CEO, he is very good also. It's like so friendly and stuff. I never felt intimidated or whatever it is. I feel I belong in the first time I joined the Solution Street. So I'm really good with that. I'm really happy about it. And then, of all the small things or big things that anyone is doing or me I'm doing, I feel like I am appreciated. Like, they're always very transparent to everything, and they give you honest opinion into anything. They give you praises, whatever you did. So, simple things, it feels good to be appreciated. So I like that too.
I think I also like that Solution Street gives back to the community. Every year Solution Street supports a different charity, and these are charities that are recommended by an employee. It's a charity that means something to one of the employees. And then Solution Street, with the help of that employee, organizes different fundraising events over the course of the year to, give back to the community and that charity. So I think that really says a lot about the company, that they're willing to give back to their community.
And actually, in addition to that, I just remember, like, with regards to giving back to the community, they make it, or the company make it fun for us. Let's say, we go to this football thing where we really enjoy watching it. At the same time, we're helping too in the community. So I like that one.
Great. Lots of common themes. Certainly flexibility, perhaps for women more than men. Feeling appreciated, a sense of belonging, fun. I think we enjoy our colleagues a lot. I think we all appreciate that Solution Street, if we're working with a client directly, that Solution Street serves as our backup support, someone else to talk to, someone else to ask questions, technical questions or otherwise. Great things that you all brought up, panelists. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Cristina to jump in for a minute. She's going to talk for a little bit about opportunities at Solution Street.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Deb. And I'll just, to kind of tie into that conversation that we were just having, I think one of the hugest draws about Solution Street is kind of like the mentorship culture that we have here. It's really a place to kind of grow in your career. I think that's what stands apart for me. I've worked for other companies in the past where my future was not really laid out, or it wasn't talked about or discussed. It's just kind of like, do the job of today and that's all that will be discussed. But I feel the opposite with Solution Street. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities, like your dialogue with your manager is really great. There's really great open communication, and everyone is able to kind of discuss where they want to go next in their career. There's opportunities to learn and grow new skills. And so it makes you kind of feel like this is a place to call home for your career, and to kind of, be there for for the long run and kind of contribute with our team. And so, yeah, and when it comes to recruiting and seeking a diverse kind of team and workforce, that's something that we keep top of mind. For instance, our recruiting team, we're going to be including Srilatha and Dianne are going to join us. We're going to represent Solution Street at the Women in Technology Job Fair, which is going to be in Tyson's Corner on March 24th. From 4 to 7 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency. You can reach out to me if you'd like to learn more info about that job fair, but that's just, one way that, we're actively seeking women to join our team. And in terms of diversity in general, we have people from many different backgrounds, cultures, and LGBTQ community. Sorry that I bungled that. But we kind of have a very open-minded, friendly workforce here, and so we're always kind of seeking great people with great communication to join, not just software engineers, but other people that have skills involved with the software workforce, such as business analysts, project managers, QA, automation engineers. And so if you're ever curious, if you'd like to have a casual conversation to learn more, if you have, after, today, we'll have a question and answer call, but in general, if you'd like to take some with you virtually to kind of share more about opportunities at our company, if you're a software engineer, we're actively seeking Java engineers and JavaScript with React or Angular, as well as Python, and kind of all across the gamut. We're very diverse when it comes to our tech stack as well. We don't stick to just one tech stack. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Great, thanks. So if anyone would like to ask questions, you can either unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can type a question in the chat and we'll be happy to talk about it. While we're on a little bit of a pause, I thought I would just throw another prompt out there. What happened during the pandemic, especially as women in technology? What changed in your life? How did you cope with it? How did it affect your job or how you do your job? Would anyone like to chime in on that?
Well, I guess I'll go in first. So when the pandemic hit, of course, everyone is staying home. So you cannot really go out anywhere. I think that kept me a little bit I'm very limited to what I can do. So it kept me insane a little bit. So what I did is I find ways to make me do different things than my work, than taking good care of my kids, and doing some chores, just to have something different, because something that we're doing before, let's say during weekends, we go out, we go to the mall or we go to the park. So the time that we're in pandemic, we cannot do that. So I try to like also spend some time with my kids. We do some activities, we do some Lego building. My son loves Lego and stuff like that. So we find ways, and I think what really what makes that happen is that I'm being more close to my family, and I find other ways. There's really a lot of different ways that we can do, and be productive and being not insane, not crazy. Yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah, similar to that for me as well. I tried to look for other things to do, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. Right now, I'm flexible to be able to come into the office some days, sometimes work from home. But in the early on, when we're all just working from home, I found like extra time in my life. So like I tried to do other things. I tried to like join some, female women networking, women networks, just so I don't feel alone, just so I don't feel like I'm isolated, because that's very easy to feel, with this work from home setup, right? So I don't feel isolated by actually seeking, they probably won't come to me, but I have to seek and do something for myself, like what Larry said, for my own sanity, and just do these things. And I was able to socialize virtually during those times, because I put that effort. So yeah.
While the pandemic threw a wrench in the works in many areas, it also brought us closer. As a family, we got together more and played board games. There was all that PTO that I did not use, so I would take PTO and then stay at home and spend time watching movies and shows and playing board games with the kids. So it brought all of us closer. And the one thing that I did was I got back to to painting, which I did not have time for before. And I mean, the painting that you see behind me is done by me. And my husband always teases me, do you have any room left on the walls to fill? So yeah, that is something that I truly treasure.
That's awesome, Shalata.
Thank you.
I love your painting.
I love your painting too. Yeah, I was so inspired because I started doing watercolor. I'm very beginner. Very beginner. I wish I could do something like that later on.
Well, our next Zoom we'll have to share artwork, because I paint too.
We have a new group.
Watercolor paint group. Yeah.
Yay.
I think the pandemic, speaking of creativity, I think it forced a lot of us to be creative in different ways. I mean, you're talking about literally creative, but I mean, how to have meetings over Zoom, or how to keep your connections with your coworkers. And, I think Solution Street addressed that by having some virtual happy hours, having like a virtual scavenger hunt, different ways to keep, the employee morale up and people connected to one another. And we've all got really good at Zoom and Google Chat and all these other things now. But I think it also, in my own home, we had to be creative about workspaces. All of a sudden, we had, mom and dad and children working from home. So we had to be flexible about where we sat and sound and who has a meeting going on. And so I think it brought forth creativity in a lot of different ways.
Were any of you helping your children with technology when they were working at home? I imagine if you had anyone between ages 6 and 9 or so, especially needing to learn how to learn remotely themselves.
For me, not my son, not yet, but he's kind of interested, leaning towards that. My nephew actually started doing what was that? I think he studied Python. So last year, Rigel.
Cool.
So he started learning that. He actually started learning before me. So he was asking me about it. I was like, I don't know that. But now I know, because I studied that already and I have a project on that one. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
I did a little bit of after school tutoring with 8 and 9-year-olds. I was actually incredibly impressed with how good they were with the tools. I didn't start right at the beginning of the pandemic, so they had already been learning remotely for a couple of months and seemed very comfortable jumping around, opening things up and loading files in and showing me learning tools that they were using in school. Really, really adept at it. A new world.
Sponge brains.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if anyone has any other questions, please go ahead and chime in or comments. Anything else you'd like us to talk about?
One in the chat.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Vaughn. I'm a software engineer with 3 years experience. It was good to hear your stories. I like seeing women in tech. I code in JavaScript and React and sometimes have trouble with updates and bugs. Do you have any advice for keeping up with your programming skills? Excellent question. So at Solution Street, aside from our work with our clients, Solution Street also encourages us to continue to learn new technology, which is fun because it's sort of learning at your own pace as opposed to the deadline that you're dealing with your clients. And we support each other, so we'll pop questions out to each other. For myself, Udemy has great courses. It's Udemy. They are very inexpensive, and they're video tutorials and online resources. I think they're excellent. I Google everything. Just type in your questions and get your answers. And reaching out to colleagues or classmates. I think there's always, this is another intimidation factor, right? Sometimes you get stuck on something. There's this intimidation factor of not wanting someone to know that you're not understanding something or that you can't figure something out. In technology, you got to get over it because you'll absolutely need help. And it doesn't show that you don't know something or don't understand something. Everybody hits those blocks. And asking questions and showing you're a team player. And when someone else is stuck, just immediately jumping in and helping so that it's a multi-way conversation.
So for me, I'm a very like a visual person, and I learn a lot by experience, like whatever I get through. So I say my advice is just keep on doing what you're doing right now. And then if you hit a roadblock, which is everyone does feel like what Deborah said, and I feel that too, even until now. Step away on my computer or my desk for a little bit, like maybe eat, maybe drink or have some snack, take a walk, 5 minutes walk. That kind of refreshes my mind, and then go back to the desk and start again, or whatever you were like. Stop. So just go back and just try it again, because you won't know, it will just come back. And then sometimes what happened, I have to go back from the beginning. Every time I'm troubleshooting, if I'm stuck with something, I need to go back from the beginning because I missed something on that part, which is I overlooked. So mostly it's just something that we overlook. And of course, the help of someone else. Like I always ask a colleague, if I'm like 3 days you haven't fixed that, ask someone.
Too long, 3 days. That's too long.
Yeah, well, that's too much. Just exaggeration, not 3 days.
So that's true. Another thing, so like, what they said, absolutely true. Another thing is like, I don't know if you're, Vaughn, if you're on Twitter or like any other social media where people would post like, hey, here's a tip and trick for doing this using your, I don't know, Chrome browser, or not browser, like the console, and like things to do like these. I learned this from like Twitter updates and what's that, Reddit as well. I just subscribe to these, and I learned bits and pieces from from these platforms. But really, surrounding yourselves with people who are very intelligent and just learning from them and just listening to them, I think those are helpful. Like in my one of my networking groups, there's like a class, and like all together, there's a self-paced learning, which is good, but there's also like learning together with some group, and you can attend like an online class. And I think there's like girls who code, there's women who code, it's like Python classes and whatnot. They all have those classes as well. So you can certainly do that as a group as well.
Larry, I like what you said about go take a walk. I have, that's when I have all those aha phenomenons, right?
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
Taking a walk, washing the dishes, right? I'm problem solving in my head like all day long, right?
It was funny washing the dishes.
Yes, like,
true.
oh, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
right.
And washing the plate. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Has it ever
Yeah,
happened to
happens.
you that you cannot sleep at night and you're trying to solve the problem in your
Oh,
head?
yes.
Yes, that's
Yeah, and
happened.
I absolutely hate that when I'm trying to like going over solving in my dream, and in the morning I have to just go and sit down and write the code.
Yeah.
What if you're already like laying down for like an hour or two, and then you have to get up because you thought of something? Oh, I think it's gonna work. I have to try it. I have to try it now before I forget it. So you gotta stand up and go to your computer and try it. Yeah.
Dedication.
Yes.
Guys, do you have any advice for women engineers that might be starting out in their career? I often kind of come across candidates that are just beginning their careers in computer science. So I was wondering if you have any kind of advice for them.
I think when you're coming, thinking of joining computer science, or thinking of joining computer science, or have finished your computer science course and trying to join the industry, one thing to keep in mind is this is an ever-changing industry. So you have to keep pace, keep on learning. It's not like you have learned one thing and you're done. So it is ever-changing. You have to keep on learning new technologies. So if you love to problem solve, this is the absolute line for you. So go for it.
Yep. It's always challenging. It's never boring. It's always challenging. There's always problems to solve. You do need to be persistent. You do need to be detail oriented.
Few other characteristics, if you're talking about, you have to be a good team player. If you're working in a team, try to help others. You just can't be working in isolation. That never works, because ultimately you will be working in a team.
I think you have to be a good listener too, because especially if you're like our model at Solution Street, you're working for a client. It's very important to listen to the client and understand and ask questions and make sure you understand what they want, so you don't waste your time or their money. So be a good listener, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Also be kind.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, so me,
Go ahead, Larry.
so for me to start, like even though you have like a very small interest to do it, I mean, deep inside you, you want to do it. You want to do it. So if you have that little spark, just try it. You won't know what happened. And I was like, when I was reading a lot of articles, and actually even watching very inspiring movie, I thought about that success doesn't really, success takes time, and it takes a lot of work. So it's not that you want to do it, I'll be successful right now. It takes time. You have to build it. You have to, as long as you're persistent, you're dedicated to it, and your dedication to see through the end, like you're very persistent to finish it, I think you're going to be good at whichever, not just in IT, whichever field or career you want to pursue.
For me, what I can think of, I actually have to Google it real quick, the exact words. But when I was starting out, I was just really scared before. But if I remember this is actually from Winnie the Pooh, the saying that goes, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. I think that's really good. You're smarter than you think. You're better than what you think you are actually. So just don't be scared. Face the world. The world is your oyster. You can just play around however you want. So.
And I think it does help to have someone as a role model, what we had started the conversation with. If you have, especially if you have a female role model who is in STEM, it's a lot easier to get into a computer science line or into an IT career. But if you don't worry, just follow your passion.
I like that. Be your own hero, like be your own role. There's no one else like that, so be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that.
I do feel like it's a great time to get into any of the STEM fields. I feel like we have a lot of problems to solve. We have climate change problems to solve. We have better healthcare system problems to solve. Technology is the way that we're going to solve these problems. I feel like hopefully that's an optimistic look at the future. We've had a rough couple of years, past two especially, and feeling a little optimistic that we're climbing out of this pandemic and just seeing what are the jobs going to be like over the next 20, 30 years. If you're a young person and you're just getting into the workforce, things are just gonna, the rate of change is just gonna be unbelievable. And technology skills, they're gonna evolve over time, but the logic that's behind it and the software engineering principles behind it are gonna carry through for the next 30 years for sure. Hopefully that's an optimistic look at the future. Okay, well, thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate everyone's participation. Panelists, thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your International Women's Day 2022. Let's carry that feeling throughout the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye.
Thank you.